So I'm actually recording this after I've recorded both W.A.S.P album reviews, but you're going to get to watch this in between 1 and 2. No spoilers on 2. So the reason I wanted to do this is one of the things with W.A.S.P, especially the first album, you can really hear that LA metal sound in there, all right? Which is really funny because what I'm defining as an LA metal sound isn't really an LA metal sound per se. It kind of is. The best I could describe it to for contemporary music that I listened to would have been Quiet Riot. And Quiet Riot would have been out of, where was it? Were they also... Oh, they were LA as well. Yeah, okay. So really it is an LA metal sound, okay? W.A.S.P, it sounds like sounds like Quiet Riot, reminds me definitely of Motley Crue. The looks are very similar as well, you know, because LA just kind of had that certain look to it. The production's very slick and whatnot. And I really think that what really hurt W.A.S.P long term, having the controversy with the first album of a song like a Beast is great, because, you know, there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? And when you get on the, you know, 15 nasties, that helps. But when you're moving on from there and going in your, like, you can only ride that type of publicity for so long, right? And the first album definitely has the songs to go with it. The problem is, as you were getting further into the 80s, that 80s metal sound specifically was kind of starting to die out. Because you got to figure, by the time GNR came around, GNR did not sound like the polished metal bands out of the LA glam scene. I know a lot of people will put Van Halen in the LA glam scene, because technically they were, especially in the early days. But they were never really an LA glam band. But if you listen to the first Van Halen album and you compare it to the first W.A.S.P album, you compare it to, you know, early Motley Crue, like the first couple Motley Crue albums, you compare it to, as I already mentioned, Quiet Riot. And you go from there, you can hear a very distinct, definitive kind of sound that it's really interesting, because at the same time that this LA sound is going on and being created, you have thrash metal developing and being created basically across the bay in San Francisco, right? With the exception of Anthrax. So, you know, you got two that are so close to each other, two very unique sounds, but two very different kind of looks. And Slayer, I do know, caught crap in the early days, because, or at least from what Drew's told me, because they did more of the look of the LA glam scene and whatnot, which kind of hurt them. But the second that they moved away from that, I think that's why Slayer had the major lasting career that they did, even though I don't understand musically how they had the long-lasting career that they did and got as big as they did. At least not bigger than Anthrax. Man, that one will always confuse me. Now, when it comes to the LA glam, I don't even want to say glam necessarily, but the LA sound, okay? And W.A.S.P, especially when I compare them to Quiet Riot or Motley Crue, which I'm going to use, because those would have been their two big contemporaries, I guess. Some people would argue there might be some other ones, but realistically, I mean, Come On Feel the Noise was what, the first metal song ever to hit #1 on the billboards. So, you know, I got to compare it to that, obviously. And, you know, Motley, you know, one of the biggest glam bands to ever succeed and keep going, even though they should have retired when they said they were going to retire. Way to destroy their reputation. I think that if W.A.S.P had moved away from the leathery LA gimmicky side. Kept the music. The music is good. The music's got great structure, great writing, everything like that. At least for the first two albums. Sorry, accidental spoilers. But when comparing the albums, I think if W.A.S.P had gotten rid of the gimmicky stuff, with how heavy they were getting, I think they could have done well. They could have survived that mid to late 80s when rap blew out on the scene and became huge. Alternatives slowly started to pick up a little bit. New wave pop was kind of changing, stuff like that. But, you know, I think if they had changed their look, gotten away from the gimmicky looking side of things, with the music that they had, they could have done better than Motley. You know, they could have done... Honestly, the first W.A.S.P album, because this is after you would have been able to watch the video for the first W.A.S.P album, my first W.A.S.P album review. If I compare the first W.A.S.P album to the first Motley Crue album, first couple Motley Crue albums, or compare it to Quiet Riot's Mental Health. That was the first album, right, for Quiet Riot? Well, the first big album, the one with Come On Feel the Noise. That was definitely a better album. Like the first W.A.S.P album, significantly better. Second album, I didn't ever hear a second album from Quiet Riot, so I can't go with that. You know, but even when I go, you know, getting into this period, like using Ozzy as a comparison as well, because when you get into the second album, first album possibly, second album, you know, you're into the Jakey Lee era of Ozzy, and well, you could argue because it's Ozzy, it's better, but these albums are still really, really comparable, right? And just on, like the first W.A.S.P album, at least on, and it's because, but it's the gimmick. I'm telling you, it's the gimmick that killed W.A.S.P. Or hurt W.A.S.P, held them back. If they had gotten away from the gimmicky stuff, I really think they would have done better and they would have gotten a bigger crowd. Because that's what I think happened to all the gimmicky LA metal bands. Like some of them were really good, some of them not so much. You know, some of them only had one or two songs. Some of them were really good at doing covers, but their originals sucked. You know? And in this case, I'm going with it's the gimmick that killed the band. It really is. And I know that Blackie Lawless is still using the gimmicky stuff. At least last I had seen, he was still using it to this day. And it doesn't, for me, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't add to it. Like I've seen Halloween, for example. And you could argue that Halloween had some gimmicky kind of sort of stuff, but not really, you know. But as a band that was from that time period as well, it would be very comparable. But the European side of things, and, you know, when they started, they definitely had that leather and latex thing going on and whatnot. And in recent years, they even still have a little leather and latex, but they have their own little thing. It doesn't look as gimmicky. Seeing them live was really an eye-opening, cool experience. And I think W.A.S.P could have and should have done better, but the gimmick held them back. Okay, so I've repeated that over and over again. I've given multiple examples. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse on this one. I'm going to stop here. There'll probably be another video related to this that's actually after reviewing both of them. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, folks, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. What W.A.S.P album should I review next? The Last Command is coming up next. That'll be tomorrow's review. Followed by another one of these rambles. What other W.A.S.P albums do you want after that? Drop me a line down below. Comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think it's the gimmick or do you think it's the music? While you're on your way down there, like button, subscribe button, bell for notification, please and thank you. A couple links worth checking out. Otherwise, folks, peace, love, take care.